Atmanirbhar Bharat, which includes huge infrastructure investments where PM Gati Shakti will play a role. Make in India, which was a flagship launched several years ago under your leadership. The effort towards promoting greater investments in industry and commerce. And truly, Niti Aayog has been at the forefront of the changing times, forefront of making India truly a global champion, a manufacturing nation. Thank you, Secretary DPIIT and your entire team and all the various moderators of the various sessions, Mr. Girdhar Armaneji and all our other colleagues who truly have helped make today's program a grand success. I am also extremely grateful to Mr. Rajesh Agarwal, Secretary, Ministry of Skill Development, Mr. Amritlal Meena, Special Secretary, DPIIT, Mr. Girdhar Armane, Secretary, MOD, and of course you, Amitabh, for actually helping put together the various ideas that have come out of today's discussion. A particular word of thanks for Mr. Singh, T.P. Singh from BISAC, the Director General of BISAC, without whose support and whose unstinted work day and night, this massive task of putting together PM Gati Shakti was nearly impossible. Frankly, Prime Minister Modi has been delving upon this idea for several years. BISAC is his own baby. He created it when he was in Gujarat. But the concept that Prime Minister Modi has introduced to PM Gati Shakti is truly phenomenal. I have been a management student. I think many of you on this call come from different business and industry backgrounds. I don't think any of us could have visualized, or at least I can speak for myself, I certainly did not ever visualize such a game-changing project like PM Gati Shakti. The more we go deeper into it, the more anybody understands the huge dimensions of PM Gati Shakti, particularly at the planning stage, also at the implementation stage, and then the monitoring possibilities, where the project monitoring group will dovetail into PM Gati Shakti and make a kind of seamless project management process, is truly phenomenal. I'm grateful to all the participants also who have spent their valuable time. I'm told several hundred participants were on the webinar today. Different themes drew a lot of attention. And I'm really grateful also that the Prime Minister himself gave his time and graced us with his presence to help us understand his vision about the country's economic development and the development of infrastructure in India. We are all aware he's at the forefront of managing the crisis with our Indian nationals in Ukraine, and truly in the midst of all his various commitments, his spending time with us shows his deep commitment to PM Gati Shakti, to making infrastructure in India truly world-class and speeding up all processes around infrastructure development. This webinar, I hope, will provide the gati that is required, the speed that all our efforts, हमारे प्रयासों को ये वास्तव में गति देने का काम करेगा आज का वेबिनार. और मेरी उम्मीद है कि आज की इस चर्चा में थोड़ा डीमिस्टिफाई भी किया गया PM Gati Shakti. If any of the participants still wants to know more about PM Gati Shakti, DPIIT will be happy to arrange sectoral discussions. We'll be happy to have presentations to industrial associations or export promotion councils or to state governments or also to private industry groups, if they'll bring all their people together, we are happy to do a holistic presentation on PM Gati Shakti, on the National Single Window Plan, on Project Monitoring Group, and on the land bank that we have created. We also have ambitious plans on the United Logistics platform. So all of this, I would recommend to Mr. Anurag Jain and his team to put together into a simple to understand, very, very basic, simple presentation, which will demystify all of these efforts and encourage more people to utilize all these efforts. और जब तक सबका प्रयास नहीं होगा तब तक सफलता नहीं होगी. तो जैसे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आज देश का विकास को अपनी सबसे बड़ी प्राथमिकता बनाई है, जिस प्रकार से आज देश की पूरी तरीके से उन पर विश्वास करता है कि वो इस देश को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाएंगे, पर इसमें हम सबका संयुक्त प्रयास उतना ही आवश्यक है. We cannot achieve this without the collective effort of all our stakeholders. And I'm sure working together, we will truly get outstanding results and success. Whether it's the general people of India, whether it's industry, whether it's the manufacturing sector, the MSMEs, our exporters, our farmers, all sections of Indian economy, all our stakeholders are at the center of whatever we are planning in PM Gati Shakti. Mr. Whoever is on RU, can you please mute your system? Or can the administrator please mute everybody else? This DPIIT webinar पे कौन है? Are you? Yeah, thank you. I think the holistic vision that Prime Minister Modi presented to us this morning, that vision that this PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan can provide a platform to speed up projects, to save time, to save cost, to save time overrun, cost overrun, and also ensure quality of work and ensure that infrastructure really gets to support the efforts of industry and state governments and central government. This whole of a nation approach was truly the defining feature when we set out to make PM Gati Shakti also. When the whole of the nation works as one team, then infrastructure can take wings. And I invite all participants to look at this in this spirit. Since decades, as he said in the morning, we have been held back in our infrastructure development. As he said, infrastructure was made in bits and pieces, planned at some time, inadequate planning, delayed implementation, or a project getting stuck because of land acquisition or some forest coming in between, projects getting broken and made again and again because of bad planning, did not provide for pipelines or internet connectivity or electricity lines or proper road and rail connectivity to make it truly holistic, has been the bane of Indian infrastructure. I come from Mumbai. I'm sure there are other participants from Mumbai. We have all seen JNPT port and the roads leading up to JNPT port. I think for at least 25 years, 20 or 25 years, I've personally seen those broken roads which lead up to JNPT. For years and years, one of the country's finest ports with the worst connectivity, and because of bad planning or no comprehensive thought going into the whole process. I think that's what we are trying to change with PM Gati Shakti. There's lack of coordination between the center, states, local bodies, the uneven development of different parts of India. All of this needs to change, and together we can change that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now that we started addressing the root cause of the problems before the nation. And in a sense, PM Gati Shakti helps us to address the root cause of the problems associated with infrastructure development. Macro planning and micro planning both have to go hand in hand, both have to be coordinated so that there's no asymmetry of information and greater awareness is created, inter-say different stakeholders about the various projects that are being developed. This silo-based approach or lack of decision making in a holistic manner has led to wastage of huge amount of budgetary resources, both of the private sector and the government. And instead of creating the role of a force multiplier, very often we are losing value. We are losing our energies just in sorting out mundane problems. I think the Prime Minister's mantra, work for progress, wealth for progress, plan for progress, and preference for progress, has guided all of us in our mission to increase synergy and coordination between the center, states, different levels of government, private and public sector, but all of us have to work with this mantra of progress, wealth being used for progress, working for progress, planning for progress, everybody conspiring to succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, the PM Gati Shakti envisions an acceleration to the Indian economy and thereby the entire nation through 7 engines of progress: the roads, railways, airports, ports, teams and nations of 135 crore Indians. It will help building next gen infrastructure. But the story doesn't end there. As we progress, PM Gati Shakti has the ability to help industries locate factories of the future, to help testing facilities come up wherever there are industrial clusters, to help state and center or local bodies plan utilities better. We will know where the power requirement comes up. We will know where the internet has not yet reached. We will know where testing facilities need to be ramped up. We can study based on the infrastructure and the concentration of any particular type of industry, whether common effluent treatment plants are required, which areas have what concentration of business, so that skill development can be focused for that particular skill. So if we have 7 mega textile parks coming up, we can make sure that they are mapped to make sure that there's a reasonable spread across the country, and also ensure that it has all the relevant infrastructure that it requires: connectivity to the port, electricity, water, common effluent treatment plant, skill development center, testing facilities, whatever other design center maybe, packaging facilities. The list could be endless. And it is that holistic thinking that PM Gati Shakti will help us implement for ease of business, which will obviously lead to ease of living. I must compliment Bhaskaracharya Institute for Space Applications and Geoinformatics, BISAG N, situated at Ahmedabad, for developing the National Master Plan portal. It's a dynamic GIS-based platform which uses digital master planning tools with project management tools, dynamic dashboards, MIS reports, truly brings the best of technologies so that it can provide a bird's eye view of infra development in India. As the Prime Minister desires, one nation, one master plan to facilitate prioritization, optimization, and synchronization. As he said in the morning, even today, logistics costs in India are higher than other parts of the world for the products that we are exporting. This hampers our competitive edge. So we have to look at higher value addition to the products that we export, simultaneously look at bringing down the cost of logistics. As we move up the value chain and export or become an industrialized nation to produce more higher value added items and also simultaneously improve our logistics infrastructure, we should be able to become the best cost of logistics in the world, comparable to the best in the world at 7 to 8%. Multimodal connectivity that is envisaged under PM Gati Shakti will provide integrated and seamless connectivity. Also facilitate the last mile connectivity, about which I just gave an example at JNPT. It will also kickstart the virtuous cycle of public and private investment, which will have a multiplier impact on the Indian economy. In the webinar, I was just reading the various suggestions that have come up during the various breakout sessions. I'm grateful for the wonderful plans and suggestions that each one of you came up with. The key takeaways have given us a lot of food for thought and a lot of homework, which I assure you that my entire team is committed to doing. We will ensure that these innovative ideas are taken to their logical end so that we can increase our infra investment to a greater percentage of the GDP, enable supply side infrastructure financing, both by the public and private sector, create workable financial models for projects in the future, prepare smarter concession agreements with least scope for litigation, and come up with different options for long-term and cost-effective agreements to encourage private sector participation in infra projects. As was said earlier, multi-stakeholder collaboration across academia, industry, and government for data sharing and for upskilling our fellow citizens, particularly in the logistics sector, can have a huge paradigm shift in the development of this nation. This kind of coordination will also help faster clearances for land, environment, forests, for which I would urge all of you to look at the national single window system and help us improvise it, help us make it more relevant and useful for all of you. Like the mythological story of Sagar Manthan, I think today's webinar is a manthan to churn out new ideas. We now have to convert these ideas into action. I request all of you to continue to remain engaged with us, have your independent sessions with your stakeholders, your companies, your industry associations, and spread your understanding of PM Gati Shakti, the awareness and benefits of PM Gati Shakti amongst more and more stakeholders. In conclusion, as we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we all need to collectively think of the ways we can improve further. let us all ask ourselves the question, what can I do today for my nation that will benefit future generations? The PM Gati Shakti is a tool for all of us as we work towards our mission of making India a superpower in the Amrit Kal, the next 25 years. And I believe this will showcase our true power and potential of how a confident India and Atmanirbhar Bharat is engaging with technology for providing a better future for every Indian citizen. With this, I once again thank all the stakeholders and wish you all the very best in our work together to transform India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and discussing the concept of PM Gati Shakti with us. Thank you for guiding us on future steps. We will surely be coming out with a good report and action plans. Lastly,
you are muted. You are muted.
Sir, am I audible? I'll just check.
Administrator, please open Anurag Jain's mobile connection. Unmute him.
सबको म्यूट कर दिया.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah. Sir, thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and discussing the concept of PM Gati Shakti with us, for guiding us on future steps. We will surely come out with a good report and action plan based on the suggestions we have received today. Lastly, I would request Dr. Surendra Kumar Ahirwal, Joint Secretary Logistic Division, DPIIT, to present the vote of thanks for today's webinar.
Thank you. Thank you. Said the last, on behalf of the Department of Industries and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, I would avail this privilege to thank the very Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji for inspiring words, for guiding us to the cause of PM Gati Shakti, for taking it further and forward.